Hey guys, so today we're going to be making a background and setting up this 30 or 29 gallon tank for a leopard gecko. It is a 8-inch leopard gecko. I believe it's a male, but it could be a female, I'm not sure. And it's my friend's, but I'm going to be doing a background on this tank. This is the tank that it has been in, but it's going to be a naturalistic setup now rather than it just had reptile carpet and the fake background on. So I'm going to be creating a custom background like that tank or my iguana's cage type of thing. First, I just started placing stuff in there, and me and my friend talked about it because it'll be my friend's tank, and he wanted it very bare and not like the tropical tanks, obviously, because this is more of an arid setup. And I just kind of fit to those, whatever he wanted is what I kind of went for in this build. And this is Great Stuff expanding foam. I got this at Lowe's, I believe. And then I also got the brown silicone from Lowe's. So that is what I'm using. And then these rocks are from a local creek. And then the wood is a mixture of driftwood from Arizona, Ohio, and also I think some's from North Carolina as well. So now that the expanding foam is done, then I started cutting it. So I just used a normal razor blade and like a pusher type grip thing, and I just tried to get it as close to the background because, like I said, he wanted it quite bare, so then his leopard gecko would be able to have enough room in the tank, which isn't super important in the top region because they're terrestrial geckos, but I just tried to make sure that it was to his liking because this is his birthday present from me. And now I'm pretty much done with cutting it and roughing it up and making it look cool, and now I'll be adding silicone and dirt. Okay guys, so I'm officially done with cutting the background. It was super simple. I just tried to cut it like as low as possible. Like I tried not to make it super thick. Unlike, like my crested gecko's enclosure, we don't want it to come out very much. So I tried to make it low and kind of give it a, make it rough and everything. So I'm now done with doing that, and I'm going to use the vacuum to get off any little pieces and anything on the wood or whatnot, and then I'll be able to silicone it later today, and I'll just be using normal dirt like I would for any other thing. It's just gonna be more arid. Okay, so I set it up to see what it looks like after vacuuming it, and I think it looks pretty cool. I especially like how this has like a knot in it, the piece of wood right there has like an eye type of thing. That's gonna look pretty cool, but it'll blend together way better once there is the like once I put on the silicone and everything, it'll be like that. So then the wood, as you can see there, the bark and the wood blend together like perfectly after that. And then once I add more rocks and everything, that'll blend together as well. And then I'll also have this hide, which will make it look better as well, like in there. So then that'll also blend in with the background. After using the silicone gun to spray the brown silicone all over, then I put dirt on top of it and I press it down as hard as I can to make sure that it'll stay down and dry properly. Okay, so I am finished, and now I'm gonna have to wait a few hours. I'll probably be able to set it up tonight, and by set it up I mean like set it right ways. And see, I'm really hoping that I won't have to do any touching up, but if I do, then I will wait till tomorrow to properly set it up, and then I'll be able to get it back to my friend. So I'm really excited. Things gonna look great. Patted down the dirt really well, and I'm really excited. It's gonna be very bare, which is very different, and I'm really hoping that the everything blends together really well, because that's what I'm hoping for. So it's like this, because again, like I said, it's gonna be very bare and dry, and I'm just not used to that. I mean, this is a little bit more bare compared to that, but it's very busy, and I'm thinking that this isn't going to be very busy. So we'll definitely see, and should turn out great. This stand wasn't built for this, so it was kind of hard, and I used the bag so then it would catch any dirt that's falling, but I ended up sweeping afterward anyway. Now that the background is all done, I will be setting up the bottom part, and this will be an arid tank, but right now the only substrate that I have is quite moist, so we're just going to have to let it dry out for a while. And it also has isopods in it because it is the same substrate that was in my frogs enclosure, so we're going to see how that is. So this won't only be a naturalistic leopard gecko tank, but it'll also be a bioactive leopard gecko tank. So I don't know if that'll work with an arid setup, but here's what I'm thinking is that the substrate that I have, what will happen is the top will go it will go dry like it's supposed to, and then under certain things there'll be little hot spots for the insects to thrive in those little moist pockets of the soil, and that way they'll be able to be like insects in the soil, but it's not going to be super moist for the gecko, if that makes sense. So that's something that I was going to be trying with a bearded dragon if I would have gotten one, but I decided not to get one because I just didn't. But I'll be testing it with the leopard gecko enclosure. So I'll be putting dirt in the bottom, I'll be putting leaves in the bottom, and then I'm just going to be putting a few other things in the bottom because my friend doesn't want it super full. He wants a lot of space for his gecko, which is understandable, obviously, and that's why we tried to use the back as extra square footage. Also, I will be using a water bowl. I think my friend's going to be using a different one, but this one's basically just a placeholder for his. So I started off with clay pebbles, which I have never used before, but I had some, so I figured why not, and it should help drain this tank better because, like I said, this needs to be an arid tank, and the substrate is pretty moist, which is alright because at this point it's been sitting for a few days, and it'll be a few days still before we get the leopard gecko in. Here is the final project. It is currently sitting on my bed for a second because I'm moving around some stuff in my room. But I think it'll be pretty cool. The gecko can go down there under that piece of rock, and then it'll have this whole area as a hide. Also, it might be able to get back behind the water bowl or something. And that's pretty much it for hides. And then for basking areas, it has there, down here, on top of there, all around. And then there's all these botanicals in the bottom, different sticks and stuff. And then there's really rough, rocky edges and wood bark for him to scratch his shed when he's shedding. It'll help him shed a heck of a lot, which is one advantage to a naturalistic type of setup. And also it's just better for the animal. He can dig more enrichment as well, which I think it's important to switch around tanks every once in a while for enrichment purposes, which is basically just making their brain think when they're in the same setup for years and years and years. They don't really have anything to think about, but with a naturalistic setup, it's a lot different, and it gives them something to be enriched by, if that makes sense. So I'm gonna get this to my friend as soon as I can for him and his leopard gecko to enjoy, and I hope this inspired you. And again, I don't keep leopard geckos, so I hope this is somewhat proper, and I will give you feedback on what he says once he has his leopard gecko in it for a while, and make sure it's working. And then if there's any adjustments he tells me I need to make, then I will. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, like down below. If you have any comments or concerns, put in the comments below, and if you want more content, then subscribe. Have a fantastic day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Peace.